So, I think we are live for episode 3 of the So I Guess We Are Dads Now podcast. We're not.
So I guess we are live now.
Exactly that. What a segue. I'm not going to wait for people to enter the chat because we're going to put this straight up online afterwards. It's just going to be a bit awkward if there's like 3 minutes of no chat. Lads, how are we doing?
How many episodes did you say it takes before most podcasts fail? Have we hit that threshold yet?
Seven. So we're quite a way off.
Yeah, we're just shy of being halfway there. Actually, yeah. Once we get halfway through this episode, we're sort of well on our way to sort of making this a regular thing. But it has been 3 months because we only do 1 episode a month. So
yeah, I know. I don't think people want any more than that. That's too much of us 3.
I was going to say the demand. People haven't been calling out for it yet. No, but saying that, I mean, I have had a few friends that have been messaging me saying, "Oh, when are you live?" and all that sort of thing. So maybe we're underselling it. Maybe people are interested. In fact, I've got a friend who's just messaged me now, so I'm just going to say. He said, "Where are you live? Twitch?" I said, "Yeah, boy."
Have you two boys got an announcement to make? I believe you have.
Yeah, go on, Ollie.
Oh, we're going straight into that, are we?
Oh, I'm gonna get straight in.
The thing is, I don't remember all of the exact details. But
go on, then I'll announce it.
As some of you may know, me and Louis are in a band or a duo. It's not really a band, is it?
I was going to say a band insinuates we're sort of like, you know, quite good at what we do. We just rock up to places.
For some reason, people keep inviting us.
I know, exactly. Poor sods. But yeah, go on, Ollie. What? So we're in a duo.
We've got a gig. We've got a gig.
We've got a gig. A very quite a special gig actually.
Yeah, the inaugural Higgsy's Outdoor Cinema. Now, I don't know unless you're local to Peterborough, you probably won't know who Higgsy's are necessarily, but they're a local.
You'll learn.
You'll be indoctrinated.
If you don't know, get to know.
Higgsy's fold. They're the best burgers in Cambridgeshire, apparently, and absolutely. I would attest to them probably being better than just Cambridgeshire, probably whole of the damn country. But
yeah, they're doing like Ollie said, the inaugural Higgsy's open air cinema on August the 24th, I believe.
August 24th.
I got
12
my
o'clock.
3 tickets today, so I'll be there with the little one. The little one will be there in the other half. Yeah.
Well, that is a good point actually, as this is a sort of parenting and dad podcast. It's probably important to remind people that the Higgsy's Open Air Cinema is a family event. They're encouraging people to bring their children, and I think I did see on a post that any children that are under 6 go free. Yeah, but you have to book them a free ticket essentially, so they know how many. Yeah. People are at the event, you know, for health and safety reasons and stuff. But yeah, 24th of August. Right. If anyone's listening to this and is interested in getting tickets, I will leave a link to that in the description, in the show notes, as they say. So yeah,
and Adam and Amber are awesome people, and they're really, really driving their business and putting everything into it, and they're just
doing an amazing job.
They're amazing people, and they deserve your support, not just because they're great people, but because they make amazing burgers. And I'm actually yet to see you two play live, which is really awful.
It's a bit of a travesty, really.
It is a travesty. So I'm looking forward to seeing you boys as much as anything on the day.
So you're looking forward to like watching us with a Higgsy's burger in hand with your family there?
Yeah. Well, hopefully, she'll be entertaining them. Hopefully, I've got a burger to eat.
Yeah. No, you are right though. Higgsy's fantastic local business, and like you say, I think they're going to go bigger and better as the years go on. I know they've had a few things recently, like the food review club and stuff have been down there, and they're quite a big presence on Facebook and Instagram and stuff. And they went to Higgsy's and did a review, and obviously gave them an amazing review because their food's absolutely second to none. Really excited about that. Thank you to the guys at Higgsy's for having us. We're really looking forward to it, and we hope that you guys can join us. And like I said, we'll put we'll put the ticket link in the description so you guys can have a look at the further details regarding that.
Speaking of burgers, snack check, boy. Snack check.
Is it that time already? Ooh,
It is that time. Yeah.
What you gone for this evening then? Go on, Snack Master General.
Okay. Well, some people may not call this a snack. You can debate about that amongst yourselves. But you can buy like those cartons of like chocolate milk. Well, I've got Belgian chocolate milk, and it's absolutely unbelievable.
So is it made by a Belgian chocolatier?
One would hope so.
Artisan chocolate. Love that.
Otherwise, it wouldn't do what it says on the tin.
What sort of temperature is it? Like room temperature, or have you had it straight out the fridge? Or?
It's been in the fridge, but I poured my glass probably 15 minutes ago.
Oh, okay. So it's probably in
Close
this heat.
Tepid
This heat, it's probably turned to yogurt. It has been a bit close, hasn't it? This heat has been a bit ridiculous.
And a bit muggy.
Just make sure you dip your elbow in there just to check it's the right temperature and it's not gonna hurt.
Yeah, that's how you meant to test like kids' bottles and stuff, isn't it? We've got Mr. Streamboat01 in the chat saying, I'm 3 hours into my 4-hour drive home. This pod is what I need to see me through this last hour. Well, mate, it's good to have you on board. Thank you for joining us this evening. Much love to you and safe travels on the way back. I believe you're travelling back from Manchester, if I remember rightly. It's a friend of mine. Ollie, what have you gone for snack-wise? It's got a top artisan Belgian chocolate.
It's probably not going to top them. Well, I don't know. They're devilishly nice. Maltesers.
Small geezers.
That is a classic.
Yeah, you can't go wrong.
You can munch through an entire packet of those quite easily.
And I will be doing.
I remember there was back in the day, there was a Maltesers advert that used to play on TV. I mean, I don't really watch TV. Do they still do adverts? I don't know. But it was someone had a pack of Maltesers on the dashboard of a car, and they kept getting the driver to drive around the roundabout, so the Maltesers would like keep rolling towards them. If I can find that online, I'm going to share it to the social media.
I remember it.
Yeah, you remember it? Yeah. Small geezers. You guys have gone like very chocolatey this evening. I feel like
I know.
Mine's like pure savoury.
Well, no, that's fine.
So
variety is the spice of life, Louis.
Very true. Very, very true. So I've been out this afternoon with Margot. We went to see a mutual friend of all of us, really, because obviously David works with our friend Nathan, and Ollie's met Nathan at gigs and my stag do and all that sort of stuff. Excuse me. We met up with Nathan. He was looking at my guitars, servicing my guitars, and then we went out for a picnic because the weather's nice. So we took Margot to the park and stuff. And these are some of the leftover snacks. I'd say a modern twist on a British classic is what I would market this as. So it's I don't know if you guys can see this. It's 2 chorizo seasoned pork pies.
Oh, nice.
So it's a bit of a chorizian.
Do you remember those? Were you there at Soundtech when Mask was coming around? He did the chorizo
sausage rolls. Oh my god! I can't eat a normal sausage roll the same way now without feeling just utter disappointment.
Just empty.
They were just unreal. Those maybe that's another local business that we can shout out. Not sponsored. What were they called? Like the Awesome Coffee Company or something?
I think it's a franchise.
Yeah, it is a franchise. Yeah, so maybe we could invest. Who knows? Streamboat in the chat, he says that he's rocking a bag of Haribo Tangfastics. Classic.
Oh, nice.
Oh, it's making my mouth go funny just even thinking about those now.
I'm a big fan of Dolly Mixture.
Oh yeah.
I love Dolly Mixture, and one of the things I love about them is you can normally pick up like a cheap unbranded packet for like £1.
Yeah, and the unbranded ones that like don't taste dissimilar to like the branded ones that you get. Not sponsored. So yeah, you can go cheap on Dolly Mix, but it still like tastes quite good. Whereas other sweets, I feel like if you go for the cheap alternative, sometimes it lacks the taste and wow factor.
Yeah, for sure.
God, we know enough know how to go on a tangent, didn't we?
Yeah.
I tell you what, though, I do want to mention, if anyone is watching live on Twitch or watching this on our YouTube channel afterwards, you got to admire Ollie's new scenery. Look, outdoorsman. He's out there. He's touching grass. Look.
Well, yes. No, I just thought it was going to be a bit hot and stuffy in the band room otherwise. And
look, Lizzie's in the chat. Lizzie's in the chat. Has Kirsty banished Ollie outside of the house? this evening. You've been kicked out tonight, mate.
My camera will be better from the next pod, I promise. I've ordered a specific webcam with a ring light on it, so hopefully, next time my camera game will have improved. This is just the basic one that came with my basic laptop, so sorry, mine's a bit grainy.
Honestly, you look $1 million to me, always. So don't ever underestimate yourself, right?
Pretty kind. The question I asked last time is a bit of a stupid one, not really easy to answer. So if you want to skip that one for this week,
it's not easy to answer. But I can't actually remember it, so I'm gonna. It's gonna be completely organic.
No, because it was just stupid.
Go on,
it was
put it out there.
It was just spare of the moment. The question I asked is, what is she gonna look like with the chimney on her? So it's just a bit. It's just a stupid one. But what I'll do is I'll ask a proper one at the end of this pod, which I will expect an answer on for the next.
I think we should answer both.
You want to answer it? Go. I mean, if you want to answer it, go for it.
What, right now? Now you put me on the spot. Now we'll come back to it at the end of the pod.
Oh, she'll look like she's got a chimney on her head. I feel like that's an obvious.
You must know the lyric, right?
Yeah, of course.
No,
yeah, I know it.
You never heard that?
It's like a dance floor filler, that tune, isn't
it? Yeah, back from like late 90s, early 2000s. I'm gonna say 98.
Should we verify?
I'm gonna guess.
So what is it? A line from a song?
Yeah.
Who's it by?
That's a great question.
See, he hasn't even fact checked it. Here you go. Look, it's called. It's actually called "Got a Chimney on Her." I think. No, it's called "Feel It."
Oh yeah, because it's to the tune of Michael Jackson, "Feel It," isn't it?
It's called the Tamperer featuring Maya. In what year did you say, David?
I said 98.
Absolutely spot on. Oh my God! Wait a second. We need to get the air horn on that. Fantastic work. He's definitely got it loaded on another tab there. Yeah. So
if I've got a way of doing. No, I haven't.
Yeah. So the lyrics for the chorus is "What's she gonna look like with a chimney on her?" ? And that repeats 5 times, basically. Ollie, maybe we should add that into the set when we play the open air cinema. Do you know what? It sounds like the sort of thing that I would, because we sometimes do this. We go on tangents at gigs as well, and I end up singing songs a cappella, and the whole crowd starts singing it along. I feel like that could be one.
I reckon it could be.
1998 dance floor filler.
Yeah.
Life by Lizzie in the chat said David will be doing makeup videos next with his ring light. You'll be doing like "Get Ready with Me" videos on TikTok and stuff.
God. As I shave my bald head.
Mate, there's an art to it. Maybe we could teach people how to master the ways of shaving a head.
No art when I do it. I know I always write a little list of things to talk about. But if you don't mind, there are a couple of things that sort of happened in the past couple of weeks since our last pod that I'd quite like to talk about off the bat, which I just think, like, you know, what better place to talk about it than here, because these are really real situations. It's not me kind of just thinking back to things that sort of happened growing up. And I felt like they were quite poignant things that people might want to know about.
Yeah, that's good.
And the first one is that I picked Ellis up from nursery about a week ago, and they reported that he'd been hitting a bit and pushing. And you know, I don't know about you guys, but like as a parent, that's kind of like one of the things you dread the most is like hearing that your kid has done something nasty to another kid, and he's not a nasty kid,
of course.
But the thing is, it's still, to hear it is just gut wrenching and horrible. But what it did do is it made me sort of reflect more about, well, you know, kids just don't do these things. This must be because of something that I'm doing or me and Connie are doing, you know, and it made me sort of reflect about how I'm with him, and I sort of realised when I get frustrated with him, I do get quite shouty, and you know, I can shout at him quite a lot, and it's since they told me sort of 2 weeks ago, I've tried to take the flop from Bing. I've tried to take that approach, where I just do everything like super calm, like, and it's really hard. Like, when they're winding it up, but just really not raise my voice, and it just made me think, look, I've just got to set that example.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like,
I mean,
where did he learn his traits from?
Yeah.
From us.
I mean, fair play to you, mate. Like, that takes courage to admit, like, that you've reflected on it and that you feel like it might be something that you've played a part in. Like, hats off to you for being open about that, because I had some feedback actually from someone that said they'd listened to the podcast and they'd like the way that we talk quite candidly and openly about stuff. And none of it's edited, and obviously as well. So they liked that element of it. So yeah, fair play to you for saying that, mate. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't. Obviously, I don't know the ins and outs of it. You might want to talk more about it, but I think sometimes, especially when kids are the age they are with our kids, still young. I think it's like a communication thing. Like, sometimes they just don't know how to communicate how they're feeling. So I don't know. They're figuring it out as they're going along, aren't they? And it could be perhaps that he's seen another kid do it at nursery, and he's looked at another kid doing it, and he's picking up off that as well. Because I know it's funny you mention it actually, because we're not on the other end of it, but Margot came home from nursery this week and said one of her friends, I guess we're allowed to name names, I don't know, but let's just say she came home and said, "Oh, my friend Jay at nursery is not my friend anymore." And we said, "Oh, like what happened with Jay?" And she said, "Oh, Jay hit another girl whose name begins with C." And we was like, "Oh,"
right.
And she was like, "So I'm not friends with him anymore." So like she's like seen it, but what I'm trying to say is I don't think, because I said to her, perhaps it was an accident, perhaps he hit her by mistake and that sort of thing, and we're just sort of trying to tell her it from the other side of it, but she's sort of showing a bit of emotional understanding to the other side of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
like where she's witnessed it, but we said, like, if
she's an empath.
Yeah. So, but I said, if Jay has done this, he and the teachers have made him aware, he can learn from it, sort of thing. But you can still be friends with him, sort of thing, because it's probably just a mistake, and he's learning how to communicate stuff. So, but I wouldn't beat yourself up about it, mate. I appreciate what you're saying, and you being open and honest about it. But yeah, it's like you say, it's a difficult one to navigate, isn't it? Because you don't want to hear that your child's done that sort of thing.
Yeah, for sure. But whilst I've only sort of recently, in the last week and a half, to do is implementing these changes, I have already begun to notice a difference in him. And they're reporting back. They're like, "Oh, his behaviour, he's getting a bit better actually, and there's not been any hitting for the last sort of 3 or 4 times it's been, which is kids pick up on your vibes, and they learn pretty quick, But I think one of the other parts with it is, and maybe not so much like hitting and pushing and whatnot, but like when he doesn't use his listening ears, I think what that is about is, I think he's getting to the age now where he just really knows what he wants and what he wants to be doing.
Yeah.
And I think when they get into that frame of mind, when you tell him to do something else, I don't want it.
Yeah. Yeah, they're really starting to, they're forming their own like opinions on what they want to do and stuff. Yeah. Rather than us just kind of showing them the way, they're like, no, actually, I want to do something different to what. Yeah. I mean, Margot's 100% like that for sure. Like, she's so certain on what she wants to do and how she wants to do it. And there are certain times where you do butt heads, and you're like, no. You have to sort of say, I'm the adult here, especially if it's something that's, dangerous or anything like that. You're like, no, we're not doing that. You sort of have to lay down the law.
What about you, Ollie? Because obviously you literally, you're looking at it at different stages. I forget, it's George or Betty older? Is it
George is older.
Betty's
1, George is 4.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, so with George, hitting is not something we've had reported back to us from nursery or anything like that at any point so far. They're not to say it's not going to happen at some point, right? But it's a natural response, I think, for us as human beings in certain circumstances, particularly when we don't know how to control our emotions and whatever else. And what we've always and George has always sort of drawn himself to that kind of behavior as things to watch on TV and this, that, and the other. So like the superheroes and Lego movies, and it's all got action and movement and Star Wars and all sorts of stuff. And what we tend to do quite a lot of is a lot of like play fighting between me and George, like lightsaber battles, sword fights, and I don't know how much of that you guys do, but I find that like pretending to do it and showing him the difference sort of helps him understand more about his actions and what that actually means in real life, if you know what I mean. Yeah. And there's certainly no, I don't feel anyway personally, because there's all sorts of different ways to do it. There's no right or wrong way of parenting at all, but in life he's always going to come across someone that's going to hit, kick, and use that as their part of their language to communicate. And it's not something to necessarily shy away from in general, and not to encourage it at all, but to have a bit of rough and tumble isn't a bad thing.
You sort of get you in a way, you're sort of giving them that safe space to maybe explore that communication, and then you can say, actually, no, that's a bit too far, or
too hard, this, that, and the other. Let's do it a bit softer. Let's try doing this. Let's try doing that. Yeah. And having Betty around now as well, he's learning an awful lot. Not that he's hitting Betty at all. But he knows if he's swinging a lightsaber around, not to swing it right next to her head anymore, or to clip around the ear, or anything like that.
With her, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that a big old learning curve for him.
He's having to really like assume the position of older brother now, isn't it? Like he's got to watch what he's doing and set an example. Just a quick one, Dave. Like this is, I think, a message towards David. Streamboat01 in the chat has said, "Don't blame yourself. I think every child does something like this once, and sometimes takes it. What did he say? Sometimes it takes once to actually realise it's not good. But don't beat yourself up." Like I think what he's saying is sometimes a kid will do it because they're just experimenting. Like, is this something I can do? And then when they realise it's not, then it's like
it's all boundaries, isn't it? It's all understanding and communicating and learning. And to learn something, you've got to make mistakes, and that's how kids learn. That's how we learn still, right?
And I mean, Lizzie's just put in the chat as well. Like sometimes we have to tell Margot to be like calm because we've obviously got pets and stuff. We have to say like you need to respect the fact that they're a pet, and you can't get to, she's never like intentionally hurt them, but she gets a bit overzealous sometimes. And you're like, they're a pet. Like you have to respect their boundaries as well. We don't hurt animals or humans, and we have that conversation with her quite a lot. So I think she's sort of like knows, but they're kids. They're gonna like. There's going to be times when they sort of push it again, and you have to remind them and stuff. But yeah, I think what Steamboat has said there is not to don't beat yourself up about it. Yeah. It's good that you've got it's good you've and like I say, really hats off to you for talking about it, because it is an important subject. Like you say, you're always going to think, well, is it something I've done that's made them do that? Naturally, like because you're their parent.
And make raised voices is just a natural way of communicating in certain situations.
Yeah, I know, but
that is not something to be a sort of ashamed. Not to say it's not a good thing that you're trying to be conscious of it and toning it down. Yeah. I get that, but it's always going to happen. You cannot blame yourself for that.
I do agree. But there is a difference, and sometimes I could get quite shouty. Do you know what I mean? Like there's raising your voice at someone and sort of shouting at someone, and I realised actually sometimes I do shout. I shout at him for being naughty because sometimes I struggle with my patience with him. So that's what I'm learning to do more. Rein myself in and just be like, look, he's a kid, he's learning, and be firm with him, but just be calm. You know, you can do it in a calm way. And do you know what? Like, weirdly enough, since I've been doing it, I feel better in my own self generally, like, because I'm not raising my stress levels all the time. Because I'm managing to keep calm with him, like, because I'm not letting my cortisol or whatever spike through stress.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I'm generally just feeling better in myself.
Well, like you say, like, I know you were saying about like Ellis learning and stuff, but like we all of us, we're all learning as parents, as children, like, and I think one thing that's underrated about being a parent, because obviously you feel like as a parent you have to teach your child everything, and that's normally the angle that people like. You know, you need to teach your child to be like this, you need to teach your child how to be like that. But one of the things that's often overlooked is how they can actually teach you to be a better person as well. And like it's a massive part of it, because you know I've been the same. You know, there'll be times where, you know, you've come home, you've had a really stressful day at work or whatever, you're trying to do bedtime and they're fighting against it and stuff, and you raise your voice or whatever, and then I sit back and think, I shouldn't have done that. You know, or like, I wish I didn't do that. But it's all part of the journey, you know, and it's going to happen. And
the guilt afterwards as well is dreadful. If I've ever raised my voice at George, it happens more often than I'd like to sort of wish for. The guilt afterwards is crippling. I don't know if you get that. Like, when you see that when the calm after the storm, and it's like.
I've definitely had it before. Like, where I've said to like Lizzie, like, I feel well bad, and when Lizzie reassures me, she's like, you didn't actually do anything that bad. Like, she deserved you raising her voice in that sort of way because she wasn't behaving. And she's reassured me, but I'm just terrible for it. I mean, I don't like to upset people in general anyway. That's just me as a person, and especially when I think I've done it to, you know, to her, because she's still kind of trying to figure life out, and I'm meant to be setting an example, you know. But we're all going to learn, aren't we?
The sort of things I've been doing since is like, you know, if he's not playing ball, you know, even though I'm being calm within myself and being like, oh, okay, look, you know, I'm going to give you 5 seconds. If you don't, you know, comply and do what I'm asking, then tonight you'll go to bed and you won't have your milk first and you won't have a story.
Yeah.
And if he carries on, and then I'll be like, okay, we're going to bed now, and there's no milk and no story. And he'll be like, no, I want milk or I want a story. And then I'll just keep saying, no, I gave you your chance, and you didn't take it, and now the consequence is you're going to have to go to bed without milk and without a story. And he'll sit there crying, and you know, I feel, you know, and I'll just sit there calmly with him and let him cry and just keep explaining why he's not having those things tonight. And I'm just finding it's working for me and us. It's working really well.
Well, because you are establishing that boundary, aren't you? It's like you're giving him the opportunity to do the right thing, and if he doesn't, there is a you know, a consequence to his actions, sort of thing, isn't it? Like, you know, I'm just having exactly. Cool. Every reaction or action has a reaction, doesn't it? Is what they say. Again, I've got Streamboat in the chat. He says it's hard for us at times because we have a 10-year-old and a 3-year-old. So when the eldest is naughty or we have to tell her off, and the youngest is around, sometimes she gets upset when we tell her sister off or have to shout at her. See, that's a different one because they've got children that are, you know, there's a bit of an age difference. Yeah. So they're obviously their oldest daughter's understanding of situations is obviously a lot different to their 3-year-old. That's quite an interest. Maybe Steamboat would be a good guest to have on at some point.
Yeah, it sounds like it. It's got some great
it'll bring some good perspective to it.
Yeah, definitely.
And then Lizzie said, "Oh God, I get so frustrated with Margot, more so than Lou. He's the calmer presence, and I'll be honest, and Lou will agree, I'm her favourite. So it's not that they hold frustration against us, and that is true. You know,
they don't hold a grudge, do they?
Yeah, Lizzie. You know, Lizzie does have a tendency to lose her patience more with Margot than me, but yet Lizzie's still her favourite. I'm like the calmer, like, you know, the dad, the fun dad that like plays games and does all these things. But like, if it was a choice between me or Lizzie, she'd go to Lizzie every time. You know, so don't. I think what Lizzie's saying is, even if you've had these moments with her, because Lizzie's had them as well, they won't hold it against you. Like Ellis won't hold it against you.
Brings her food. I've got to ask, who is it that brings her food? Is it Lizzie that does most of the cooking, or you?
Well, I guess when I'm working night shifts.
Is it Lizzie?
Yeah,
Is
but
it Lizzie?
Margot's gone off her food.
That's
at the
why
minute.
it's the food. It's
Honestly,
the food.
Margot.
She'll know that it's Lizzie that brings her food.
If she was enjoying her food at the minute, which she's not, she's just like gone off of all food at the moment. I would say that was a genuine reason. But we're really struggling with that at the moment. But that'll probably be another topic.
One thing we've noticed with Ellis is that, like, if one of us has pissed him off and he's cried, he's crying and asking for the other.
Yeah.
So he wants the one that hasn't pissed him off at that moment.
Yeah.
If George asks for something and it's a no,
Yeah.
he goes straight to the other parent now, and it's the same question that gets asked.
Yeah.
Have you asked your daddy that already?
Yeah.
No. So I'm like, yes. Tell them already.
Ellis hasn't quite reached those manipulation levels just yet. He's getting there, but not quite.
It's amazing
And
how
how about
quickly they can pick
fake
up
crying?
on that. Fake crying, yeah.
Have you noticed fake crying yet?
Oh yeah, the fake crying. You can spot it a mile off.
Oh, I love it. It's so fun.
Does this all tie into the Jekyll and Hyde thing that you? That was one of the
Actually,
topics.
yeah.
Wasn't it?
Well, I have actually got one more, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Please, yeah.
And so that one was kind of self-reflection, and this one was something that I saw. And listen, I hate to judge. I don't like judging other parents. I really, raising a kid is difficult, so I almost try and not do it where I can. But I had one instance that really stuck out to me, and I felt quite sad about it, which was a couple of weekends ago. I took Ellis to the park, and it was me and him. We were playing. At the time we were on that, those tires. They're like with this like a swing, like a chain swing, and he was sat there pushing around, and he was living his best life. He was absolutely loving it. And at the time we were there, a dad turned up with his daughter, and she was a bit older. I guess she was 6, 7, 8, something like that. And I couldn't help but notice, but so she went off on a scooter in the park, and he sat there and he sort of got his phone out. Fair enough. And I kid you not, from the moment they were there to the moment they left, he was sat looking at his phone, and I observed sometimes she was going, Dad, look at this, and he'd go, yeah, and he'd raise his head like the tiniest bit and go straight back, and I thought, it's half an hour at the park with your kid. What is so important on your phone that you can't leave it for half an hour? And I almost wanted to go and say to him, is like, what is so important that you can't give your kid like half an hour?
That thing is society in a nutshell, man. The whole phone thing. Don't get me wrong. There's been times where I've been guilty of it, mate. Where I don't know, you just do this mindless scrolling and stuff. But I have really tried to, especially when I'm doing things like when I'm at the park and stuff.
Sure.
we were at the park today. I put my phone in Margot's bag. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to be that guy.
Absolutely, but the thing is, Louis, it's like it was I'm not exaggerating. It was the entire time. The entire time. He was not paying his kid any attention at all. And
It's
I know
sad.
sometimes when you're at home, I'm guilty of it. We're all guilty of spending too much time on our phone and probably not enough attention on our kid. But it, honestly, barely a second.
It is like an addiction, though, isn't it? It gets to that point for some people where there is they can't sort of switch off from it, and it's like
the only other thing I'd say as well is you don't necessarily know what's happened throughout the day up until that point.
Yeah, of course.
No, true.
And kids can turn it on a dime as well. So she could have been absolutely horrific all throughout the entire day. Or some stuff going on at home,
and he's had no time to himself.
Out of the house, out of the calm situation, and he said, "Right, you go off and play. I'll sit on my phone."
Maybe, maybe you're right.
Context is a fine thing, and we don't always have the privilege of knowing all of that, do we?
No, that's true. That is true. But
I am giving someone a heavy benefit of the doubt. I'm sure.
You've got to play devil's advocate and these sort of things, haven't you? But yeah, there is two sides to every story. But when you do see it, you do sometimes, like you say, we're obviously our whole thing here is that we're not going to judge anyone because we don't. Yeah. We're still figuring it out ourselves, like being dads and stuff. But as human beings, we are going to form opinions when we see stuff. There's no anyone who says that they don't have an opinion on certain things is, it's natural.
I guess the point is, like, if I mention that story, and it might just make someone think about it. Do you know what I mean? Next
It might
time,
make someone look up from their phone.
Yeah.
And see what's going on around them. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I just think that, like, Ollie's right. I don't have context of the entire situation. All I saw was that snapshot, that moment in time. But it just made, you could,
it's
Ellis was
understandable that
laughing.
you'd be angry by that, though, or take it away as being something that you don't want to see. Because
I was just sad about it, like Ellis was laughing and having the bet. Me and him were just having a great, like, laugh together, and he was having a really good time. And this girl looked quite sad, and she was just quiet on a scooter, like trying to get her dad's attention, who just wasn't giving it,
Yeah.
But you are right. I don't have the full context. You are right. So that's something I should consider.
I don't know.
I know.
Yeah.
And I don't know. What your guys' views on this, but like at the play park, it's sort of a safe space for like kids to play with each other as well. So like maybe like encouraging Ellis to go and play with her as well, or like bring her into.
Perhaps I should have done that. Yeah,
something like that. It's something. So my mum, I don't know how much everyone knows about my mum, but she runs a nursery, and is insufferably fantastic with kids of all ages, to the point that it makes me look dreadful. But one thing that she always does is when she takes the kids to the park, when she's got them, is bring any other children that are there in on their games and the stuff that they're doing. And I tell you who's really good at this as well, Lou, you'll know this. William.
Will's great at this, yeah.
Is that the guy that was at Margot's birthday party?
Yeah. Will's
it's just whatever he's doing, and it just brings everyone in on it, and it's a great way of just distracting from, because you're right, that little girl, in context, or if you took it at face value, and she looked sad, and the other dad wasn't paying her attention, then encouraging your kids to get involved as well and bring other children in on the play and playing together. It doesn't matter the different ages, because it's a safe place as the park, isn't it, for the kids to play and learn. And
do you know what I could, like, talking of Will, I could imagine in that situation, Will would actually go up to the dad and just be like, "How you doing, fella? Like, what, like, you're here at the park, you're here at the park today. Like, how's things going and stuff." I can imagine him actually breaking the ice with the dad as well, because he's just that sort of guy, isn't he? But I'm not saying that's what you should have done, David, because I wouldn't do it.
Neither would I. Would I.
But
I'm very envious of anyone with that amount of charisma.
But I know for certain, Will would just walk up to him and just be like, "How you doing, fella? Like, what, are you local? Like, how's things going? Like, how's your daughter and stuff?" Like, and he'd probably encourage his daughter to play with her or whatever, because he is that kind of guy. But yeah, it is a weird one, because like you do see a lot of it, like, people, adults attached to their phones and stuff when they've got kids, and yeah, it is. But like you say, you don't know the full context, but it is, it is hard when you see it, because you're like, oh. And
I'm guilty of it.
Yeah,
I'd say that every sort of first half hour when I get home from work, it's like I'm glued to my screen.
Yeah, you just want that time, don't you?
But I mean, that's quite natural, because you kind of, if you've been at work and then you sort of probably catching up on the things you have missed, like you get home and you got like a load of notifications, you're gonna go through them. That's totally natural.
Do you know how many messages were on my WhatsApp groups when I came home from work today? 45. I'm like, there's more reading than I've had to do in all of my emails all day, just getting through all of that.
See, I don't have the luxury of that, because I don't have many friends. It's just you guys saying, "Should we do a podcast?" Like, yeah, go on then.
Who needs friends? Who needs friends?
Yeah. But no, do you know what, mate? This has probably been my favourite part of any episode that we've done so far. I know we've only done 3, but I like the fact that you've reflected on things that you've seen and things that have happened, and you've brought that to the table.
You're very good at coming up with topics.
Yeah,
Thank you.
You are the ideas man, aren't you?
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I did try and come up with the topics, but then I thought, well, hang on a minute. These are things that are happening right now, and these are things that are very poignant things,
Yeah.
and a massive part of parenting.
Like I said, I've had a chat with a few people that have listened to the first couple of episodes and stuff, and I said, same with our parenting, we're still figuring all this out. So, but I like this. This feels natural. This feels great talking about this sort of stuff organically, because it makes me think. Like when you send topic ideas, obviously my the gears are ticking away and thinking of things that happen. But when it's coming at me naturally like this, like you brought it tonight, I think I react to it in a different way. I think I react to it more organically because you've just literally just brought the topic up. It doesn't give me that time to formulate
what you're going to talk about.
Exactly. Whereas I think it comes out more raw and open, which I think is what people have liked about our first couple of episodes. So yeah, thanks for doing it, man.
No, well, again, if anything happens in between the next one, I'll do the same. If I think if I look it's worth talking about, then I'll just bring it up.
I think it's a good thing for us all to do, actually. And I'm going to be more conscious of things that are happening, and try and bring that to the table for the next episodes. Definitely a good idea.
Yeah, very good idea.
The first actual topic that I've labelled as the Jekyll and Hyde, which I'm sure you both knew exactly what I meant by that.
It's kind of what you mean, like what we were talking about earlier, when they sort of like different behaviours, they can just change on a dime, sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly that. And but it's also like what links into that is Ollie was mentioning the guilt he has after like raising his voice. But the thing is, the moment they're over it, they're your best friend again.
Yeah.
Like literally, they don't hold any grudge.
No.
They don't care what has just gone on the previous 5 or 10 minutes before. They're just back to.
They're so resilient, like in that sense, aren't they? Like mentally, they're so resilient. Like they can just let things drop like that. Whereas as you get older, I think that's when you tend to hold more of a grudge about things and stuff. But like when you're young, it just bounces off them, doesn't it?
It's such a precious thing, really. Quite remarkable. It often makes you think like they're actual people.
Yeah.
I know this is mad, but and it's so obvious, but they're actual humans, and all their whole perspective on life has been formulated through you. That's all they know, and of course it's you're their safe space, and their perspective is formed over such a short period of time. So what feels like a long period of time for us is actually not. I don't know how sort of progress your kids are on sort of being able to tell the time or understanding the difference between a minute, an hour, a day. But George is dreadful at it. We've been trying to teach him, and he'll still say like he'll go to bed in 41 minutes when we've said 5-minute bedtime. Or set a time, and all sorts of silly things. And they're so quick to forget because that's it. In 2 minutes is a long time for them, and 30 seconds is a long time for them still. More than enough time to sort of move on and move forward.
The time element.
Funny,
go on.
You mentioned about the time because Ellis isn't trying to learn to tell the time at the moment, but in the last week and after 2 weeks, he is like every few minutes he's like, "Daddy, what's the time?" I'm like, "Why do you need to know?" I'm like, "It's 6:45." Okay.
Yeah.
5 what's the time? It's like, well, it's 10 to 7. Like, but why do you need to know? It doesn't matter to you.
He's
honestly,
interested.
It must be something about their age group, because obviously Margot and Ellis being a few weeks apart, basically, because Margot's doing exactly the same thing. She's got this weird obsession with time at the moment. Not that she knows what time is really, but she'll ask the same thing, like, "Daddy, what time is it?" And you'll tell her, and then like you say, a few minutes later she'll be like, "What time is it now?" So like she's starting to understand that like time is a thing that we work to, that changes, and we use time as a way of, compartmentalizing our life, basically, don't we? It's like, oh, you know, we wake up, we go to work at this time, we come home, we have dinner at this time. And I think they're starting to figure out that we do things in little chunks of time. And it's so like it's weird to see them kind of getting their head around it. But yeah, she knows certain she'll like know like 5 minutes, like when we say for bedtime. And it made me laugh earlier when you said to Ellis, you got 5 seconds. I was thinking that's 2 more seconds than we give her, because we say you got 3 seconds to do stuff is what we normally say. You got 3 seconds to do what we've asked you to do. Otherwise, you know, you don't get a story at bedtime or whatever.
Well, I find the times he does comply, it's normally around when you've got 2 seconds left, 2 or 1. So if I did 3 seconds, even if I did it slowly, probably every time he wouldn't be like, do you know what I mean?
Wouldn't get it done.
So I do 5. Yeah,
it gives him a window of opportunity. Yeah, Lizzie's.
What I'm a fan of is it.
I was just going to say, Lizzie's put in the chat that Margot knows in a minute. That's like one. You know, if you're in the middle of something and she's asking for help, you're like, in a minute. So that's a time that she's familiar with.
Yeah.
The problem is that in a minute is actually not a minute most of the time.
No, it's basically like, look, just you know, give me a sec. It's like, give me a sec, give me a minute.
We're a big fan of setting timers on the smart speaker, on the old Alexa.
Clever.
We've used that, yeah.
Clever.
And we get George to do it now as well. So like, we'll say, oh, we're going to have bedtime in 5 minutes, or we have bedtime in 10 minutes. And then we get him to set the alarm, and then he knows that when the alarm goes off, that's bedtime, and that's when we do it.
That's genious, Ollie.
We do it all the time now.
Yeah, it is a really good idea, because what it does is it makes, like, I know other smart devices are available. It makes Alexa the bad cop.
Not sponsored.
Not sponsored.
Yeah, it does.
But like, it's not you telling them it's bedtime. It's Alexa telling them it's bedtime. So
but also, George has said it himself.
Yeah,
he's done it himself.
Yeah,
that is pure, and he's probably excited to hear it count down and end.
Yeah. But that actually gives them like an audible response to time as well.
Not sponsored by Audible.
Do you know what? I actually got an email saying I've got 3 months free, which I should really use.
Maybe we are sponsored.
Exactly. But yeah, no, that's a really good thing, because I know certainly Lizzie's been doing that recently. Like, you know, X amount of time before bedtime and setting the alarm on it.
We've got an Alexa somewhere.
Because like you say, it's not you kind of telling them it's bedtime. It's the Alexa telling them, and you're just the chaperone to bed, aren't you?
Ones as well. They've got a kids one, I think it's called an Alexa Pop. I think it's called a Pop. Which has just got access to kids stuff on it rather than.
Yeah. We call blow-offs pops. So maybe the best name thing.
There we go. That's a little nugget of that is genius behaviour, isn't it, from Ollie this evening, setting the time of bedtime.
That is brilliant. I love that.
We have digressed from Jekyll and Hyde scenario.
That doesn't matter. It's fine. I mean, I think we discussed everything that needed to be discussed about that. But speaking about which was the bad one? Was it Jekyll or Hyde?
Should we find out?
Is Jekyll?
It's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, isn't it?
Then it would be Mr. Hyde that's the...
Whichever was the bad one, right, actually is a nice segue into the next topic, which was tantrums in public.
Yeah, go on then.
And also, speaking about time, when they're having a tantrum in public, time slows down considerably.
What is the worst tantrum that Ellis has had then in public, like?
Probably it was in Serpentine. And if you go in from the end where like Pure Gym is.
Yeah.
As soon as you go in through like the main double doors, there's a shop on the right that's got all kinds of like kids think like toys, and it's
books
like
and kids toys
and some stationery, that sort of thing. We were in there like pre-Christmas one year, just doing some buying some like Secret Santa gifts, and he just decided he didn't want to play ball, he didn't want to go where I wanted him to go, and he just dropped to the floor and was screaming, and I was like, right, do I drag him? Do I walk away? Like, and I thought, right, I'm going to try and ignore it and walk away, and hopefully he'll follow me. But you know when you can just feel the eyes on you from
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
everyone. So
Yeah.
this is probably my moment of being of judgment as a parent. But yeah, that was horrendous. I think one of the worst things about it was because you can deal with it when it's happening at home. Whilst it's not nice, you can deal with it. Like
Hmm.
you just do what you need to do until the tantrum's done,
Yeah.
right? But when it's in public, you have that added pressure of wanting it to stop because you're feeling the judgment of others around. And I know that shouldn't really be a factor,
Yeah.
but it just is.
Of course it is. We're only human. Like you're gonna feel like that, aren't you? It's like you say, especially if it's in a shopping centre, that sort of thing. Like
Yeah.
there's like a commotion going on. Everyone's suddenly got rubber necks, and they're all like, looking
Yeah.
round corners to see what's going on, aren't they? Like they're like, how's this guy going to handle this situation?
Yeah.
Everyone's quick to
Place your
judge.
bets. Place your bets. Roll up.
Yeah, but yeah, everyone's quick to judge. But like you say, it's I don't know really, because every child's different. Some children do react to you kind of just walking away, and kind of giving them the space. Some children want you to pick them up, and some children, I don't know. Every kid's different, aren't they? Have you had any situations with George? Probably not so much Betty because she's still quite young, but
Yeah, the odd one or two. We've been lucky. We've not had major sort of tantrumy type
Mhm.
stuff with George at all. That I can recall. Definitely one or two times in restaurants we've come close to
Mhm.
what you would call a tantrum over sort of wanting to leave or
Yeah.
being done eating before but it never a drop to the floor,
Mhm.
scream uncontrollably type moment. It has made me. Remember, that I took George to. He's obsessed with monsters and aliens and that kind of thing. And at the Peterborough Museum, there's a Doctor Who exhibit at the moment with all of the costumes and things of aliens and monsters over the years, and I took him to that, and he's obsessed with Cybermen, and it was fantastic.
They're pretty
But there
scary.
was,
The old school Cybermen from the early Doctor Who series are pretty scary.
And like Daleks and things like that.
honestly, he's obsessed with it. Ironically, the only thing that he didn't like in there was a spider. Which was like that big, and I said to him, George, honestly, Daddy doesn't like that either. It's a big tarantula thing.
Yeah.
No, everything else he was all cool with. But no, there was one little girl that went in with her parents, and um, I'm fairly sure she was probably a send uh, a child and wasn't sort of very good at handling situations with other people around, and she just absolutely screamed. I mean, just rocketed off the place. And Georgia has never been a big screamer at all, but since then, over the last 2 weeks, he started to do it a couple of times when he's been angry or over stimulated in different things. So it's funny how they pick things up from seeing other children do things. And we're just trying to say that let's talk it through and try and understand why you're stressed at this time, or there's lots going on. Let's break that down and
This is
try
your
and take
first
him
year in
out of the
reception.
situation. So he's in preschool, going into reception next year.
Okay. And his sorry, forgive me. I probably should know these things already. Was he at a nursery that went straight into preschool at the same nursery, or has he started preschool at the school he'll be going to?
Interesting. This was going to be a topic that I was debating bringing up with us. Actually,
Okay.
was he's going to a different place for his reception. It's not in the same place, and he is very obviously quite nervous about it. Over the last few weeks, I would say every other day, he said, "Daddy, I don't want to go to big school.
Oh,
I don't want to go
really?
to big school." And like he's just obviously nervous, right? Which
Yeah.
is understandable. And because he gets on so well with all of his teachers and key workers at the preschool he's in at the moment. I mean, several of them came to his birthday party. You'll remember, and it just it breaks my heart having to talk him through that. But what I keep saying is it's still a long way off, and when you get there, you will be ready, and it will. You make friends and understand, just like and talk to him about how his first day at preschool felt, and it will be similar to that, and try and prepare him as best as we can.
It's strange because, like, now you mention it, like when a child goes from like a nursery situation or like a preschool into like their first like school setting, that is in a way like in some cases like their first experience of like losing someone, almost like when they lose their key worker or something, and it's quite a big thing, you know, like, you know, having that connection with someone where you see them like several days a week or whatever, and then all of a sudden you just don't see that person anymore. It's quite hard to comprehend for a small person's brain, isn't it? Like why is that person no longer part of what I do anymore, you know?
Such a big change. I mean, and unless, you know, assuming that Connie and I don't move, so Ellis has been going to nursery for a long time, and he'll do his preschool there because it has a preschool, and then he'll go off to do reception in big school when he goes to big school. And that, you know, I can only imagine we're going to go through the same things with him, like just him being nervous, saying he doesn't want to go, like just because it's such a huge change. It's such a huge change that, you know, they become so comfortable in their environment, and then
it's honestly, it's about the only times that I've had conversations with him where he's genuinely been scared.
Yeah,
and that really breaks my heart. It's a hard thing.
Yeah,
hard thing to do.
I mean, we're sort of thinking about it now because of obviously like next year Margot will be leaving like her nursery and then going to a different school as well. So, and we're also in the process of moving house, but like we consciously wanted to try and move house this year. So when it comes to next year, we're not moving house and going into a new school at the same time, because like she's starting to understand now, like that we're going to be moving house, and she's getting a little bit. She's been asking a few things about that, like, Daddy, are we going to come back to our house? And it's like, well, no, like once we've left, like there'll be new people in our house. And she's shown a little bit of like, not well, I guess maybe sadness, but and she's also experienced that recently because Lizzie's parents moved to a new house, and we drove past like where her parents used to live recently, and she was like, that's where Grandma used to live. And like she's starting to realise that people come and go and like move on and stuff, and it's quite you know, it's weird to see their little brains thinking about that. I just want to go to the chat here quickly. Steamboat said Teddy, which is his daughter, currently is in nursery that she's been going to for 2 years, but she's leaving in September to join EY1 at the school that she'll be joining. But she's really excited, as that is where Ruby, her big sister, goes. So she's excited to be at the same school as her sister. So that's quite cool.
Yeah, that is great.
I must admit, like, if I think back, like, because I was like always like following my brother's path and footsteps, like I don't ever really recall feeling anxious about it. But
because the path was already trodden in a way, wasn't it? Like?
Yeah. Exactly. That's exactly. I think it's exactly how I felt without realizing that that's how I, you know.
So it'd be interesting because you'll see in a few years, Holly, if Betty's showing the same like fears that George is showing right now, because she might be in a similar situation that David was with his, you know, with his brother and Streamboat's children are in, where the younger one is kind of excited because they're following in the older siblings' footsteps, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You've got all this exciting stuff to come.
That's to look forward to.
Lizzie said Margot says she's going to miss nursery when she goes to Hogwarts. so we have a whole different problem. So yeah, Margot thinks she's going to go to a wizarding and witchcraft school.
That would be brilliant.
Has
she got a wand?
She
taken it to the Warner Brothers place, or is she a bit young for that?
She hasn't got a wand at the moment, but you know, because she is showing an interest in Harry Potter at the moment. She's only watched the first. We've read the first book with her and watched the first film.
You've actually read a Harry Potter book with her?
Yeah. We've got
Bloody hell.
we've got an illustrated one, like a big hardback illustrated one, that we've been reading like a chapter, sort of I say most nights. So some nights she just doesn't have the energy or the patience for it. But yeah, we've been reading that.
Wow. That is advanced.
I think she
That is
likes.
much
I
more.
think with the illustrated one, obviously she loves the pictures and stuff. Because
Yeah.
we can
Even
kind of
so.
say to her like, what do you see in the pictures, and like she'll kind of make her own stories off of the pictures and that sometimes, which is quite
Right.
cool.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, so she's shown an interest in that. We're quite conscious that as the films and the books progress, they do get quite dark. So like,
Oh, yeah.
there's some themes in there that she might not be ready for yet. But like the first couple are fine. But yeah, we have thought about taking her to the Warner Brothers thing for her birthday. But yeah, we'll see how we get on. This like later in the year and stuff. But yeah,
Yeah, maybe it'd be a little bit scary. Maybe
possibly.
you want to have a full understanding of the whole
yeah.
thing before that.
Well,
Yeah.
one thing that she has been saying to me recently, which is going to cost her old man an arm and a leg, is when we watch a Disney film. At the start of each film, she says, "Daddy, can you take me to that castle?"
Yeah.
So at some point we're gonna have to make a pilgrimage to
I
somewhere.
actually think well, you got Galaxy's Edge now, haven't you? And the Harry Potter place at the one in Florida, right? Because before they put all that in, I actually rated the Paris one more than the Florida one. But now they've added, it's got to be Florida.
Well, you've done the Paris one, haven't you? With George and Betty.
Yeah. We went last year with both, and it works really well with kids that age. To be honest, it's great.
Yeah,
It's great fun. And then they have all the what are they called?
Just like Betty getting free, or you still got to pay for Betty?
Betty went in for free.
Okay.
But George we had to pay for.
Yeah, sure.
And luckily George was just at the right height for some of the really cool stuff. So we got him on like Star Tours, which is like the Star Wars emulator. So you got to go to the spaceship and all that. And what else?
Buzz Lightyear thing you went on, didn't you? The Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah, and the Big Thunder Mountain as well. The runaway train ride. And Haunted Mansion as well.
Thunder Mountain's still there. So I went in 91, I think, with my parents. And Thunder Mountain was there then.
What, 1991?
It's never gonna go.
Yeah.
What, you went the year I was born? What? Now you're showing your age.
Oh god.
Yeah, that's.
I was 20.
Brilliant.
If it makes you feel any better, I wasn't born.
Yeah, exactly. Steamboat's didn't realise Ollie was still there. You're sitting in pitch black now, mate.
Yeah.
You need a ring light.
I've got the light on me.
You need a ring light. No, you can.
You look like something out of The Conjuring, mate. You just got.
Yeah, he's
That's
just.
glow.
Who's that bloke that keeps popping over your garden fence? No, I think he's just having a laugh. We can still see you. You've got this nice glow about you from the moonlight. So what's
Lies. That's the next topic, man.
Yeah, go on then. What you need to elaborate on some of these. What children lines here?
No. It's the other way around.
What, us lying to them?
Such a bloody liar.
You've been telling a few of these, mate. You've been telling a few of these on pork pies.
Like the amount of times, he'll want to do something that I just really don't want to do, so I'll just lie. I'll make something up for the reason we can't do it. Like.
But they become quite elaborate, don't they? Like some of the liars are like, just so you can get out of doing something.
Yeah, I know. or like if he does want to have a bath, so I tell a lie or something to make sure. I don't know. I'm funny enough, as I came up with that concept, there were so many examples that were in my head. Now I can't think of a single actual practical example, but I just know I do it all the time. Like. Just always lying to him, but I think it is more about like, why can't I do this? Like when they start like questioning why they can't do stuff. I think I just.
Well, you have to try and make a situation seem like worse than it is, like just to throw him off the
I'm
scent.
a fan of brutal honesty and just say because I say so.
Yeah.
Because I say so.
Because I'm your old man and you've been told.
That's it. Yeah, know your place, boy.
Yeah.
Margot's
By the way,
like definitely
19 minutes left. That's 19
Oh,
minutes left.
okay. What on your eBay item? Yeah.
Yeah.
We wasn't live when you discussed this topic, but David's currently watching an item on. We won't mention what it is, but an item on eBay, and he's got one eye on the timer on that. Has it got bids on it, or just your bid?
Oh yeah, it's got bids on it. Yeah,
it's
got 4 bids on it.
It's a popular
Someone's
item,
gonna
isn't
snipe
it?
you, mate. It's going to happen.
Yeah, this is the kind of time where it starts to heat up in it, like sub 10 minutes. That's when people really start going like, right.
It's like transfer deadline day, isn't it? So yeah, I'm trying to think. Like, I know for sure.
I've got a couple of examples.
I was going to say, I know for certain, like, I've lied to Margot about stuff, like white lies, just to get out of doing certain things that she's like wanted to do spontaneously, and I'm like, well, that's not very practical now, so I'm just going to have to make something up, so it throws her off the scent somewhat. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like you say, I can't really think of any practical examples off the top of my head, but you say you've got some, Ollie.
Yeah, well, I don't know if they're particularly lies, but perhaps sugarcoating or not telling the full side of the story. And perhaps bigger and more deeper topics of conversation that we might want to go into. But for George, I mean, we lost Kirsty's nan a year ago now, maybe 2 years nearly. Was it 3 years ago? 3 years ago.
You're terrible.
Wow, that time's flying by. And Nanny Moon, as we now call it, is sort of went up to the moon and stars. Because at the time George would have been just over 1 year old, and when she passed away, and that's one thing that we did to sort of combat that, I suppose, and deal with that situation, which is perhaps not the truth, but sugarcoating. And the other one was we also we still don't know, but we lost one of our cats, which just so happened to be George's favourite, Ivy, at Christmas time this year, which is terribly not a nice thing to have to sort of break to him around Christmas as well. And we haven't, because we don't know what the truth is really with that, because she could end up turning up at any moment, potentially. Cats do sometimes go missing for years and then randomly.
Yeah, because she hasn't been found, has she? She's just gone missing, and
not at all.
You still don't know where she is. Yeah,
not at all. And that's one thing that breaks my heart is when he asks, "Is Ivy coming back soon?" And you just don't know the right thing to say. And if anyone does have any ideas on that, that'd be great. But we go down the route of she's gone somewhere else, George. We don't know when she'll come.
Well,
that's the only thing we've sort of got the heart to say, because we don't know either.
Like, as another example of that, my two nephews, they never met their nan on their mum's side, so they know her as Nanny in the Sky, like, and that's the way they were sort of taught to kind of deal. I mean, it's kind of loss before you've known is probably easier to deal with. I would suggest anyway. But yeah, that was kind of the way they kind of articulated to them, is that she was in the sky.
Yeah. With Ollie's mentioning about like explaining to George about the cat as well, it reminded me. So my parents, their dog, who passed away probably 2 years ago now. The dog wasn't well whilst Margot was staying with my parents, so they had to take the dog to the vet with Margot. But my parents basically said that they'd taken Stanley, the dog, to the dentist, and then obviously he didn't come back from the dentist, and like that gave Margot a bit of a fear of her going to the dentist, because she now thinks that if she goes to the dentist, she might not come back. But it was like they didn't really know what to say. But she now knows that because basically Stanley got cremated and stuff. And my parents have got like a little flower bed and stuff that he used to like roam around there, and they put Stanley there. So she now knows that Stanley's back in the garden, sort of thing. But it's like it's such a like, how do you explain this stuff to kids? Like, they're
so hard.
Yeah. But like I said, but my parents and that were trying to do a good thing, like not to say that they've taken the dog to the vet to be put down. By saying, oh, you know, he's just gone to the dentist, don't worry, sort of thing. And then she then like sort of developed a bit of a fear of going to the dentist herself. Bless her. But sometimes you just feel like you can't win.
I have thought of a practical example now. One's come to me, but I don't know. It feels a little bit lightweight, or a little like after what
I'm sorry, it was just the main things that came.
No, it's absolutely fine. But some mornings, like getting him to just like when he's got nursery, just getting him to comply and get ready and get out the door. Like particularly if I've got to go straight to work after dropping him off, because it's a good hour and 10 minutes for me to get to work. So dropping him off in Peterborough, I've got to get there bang on when he can get there at 8, like to stand any chance of getting to work on time. And I'll just be like, I'll say something like, oh, it'll be, on a Friday, he knows like the garbage truck comes round. So we're like, no, we've got to wait for the garbage truck. And I'll be like, oh, I think I heard it, mate. Like, but we've got to get in the car and we'll go find it. And it's just like little stuff like that. Like, I haven't got a clue where it is. It's just running late that day. But I'm just like, I just need to get this little shit out of the house and into the car.
I know that there's a key worker at Margot's nursery that she really like respects a lot, to the point where she like the thought of kind of maybe upsetting this lady, like Margot wouldn't like that if she was to upset this key worker. So there has been a few times like where, like you say, she's not wanting to get ready and stuff, and it's like, you know, for nursery, and I'm sitting there saying, well, you know, you're going to be late, and it's going to upset this person or whatever if you're late. And then all of a sudden she'll spring into action. You know, I've never seen her get ready as quickly as that. So sometimes, but I feel bad. I'm sort of using that as a bit of a like, but
you use what you got to use.
In the moment, I'm like, yeah, I'm literally using this person to like get her ready.
the one kind of loggerheads me and Connie sometimes come to, and sort of disagreement we have about, again, you know, like I try not to get involved in anything that Connie does, like with him, like I really do, and most, you know, 99.9% of the time I do stay out of it. But sometimes I hear her say something to him like, if you don't do this, then you're not gonna have that, or we're not gonna go there. And I know she that's not something she can follow through on. That's not something she means. Like, you know, it'll be, I don't know, something massive like, oh, you're not going to Nanny and Gaga's this weekend, which I know full well that's impossible for that to not happen, because like maybe they're babysitting them because we both got work or something. Yeah. So I just kind of think, don't make an idle threat. Like, only use something you can follow up on if
really
he
control
doesn't play ball. Yeah, because
take away toys and that kind of thing, and and
the
tablet.
That has been the only, and I'm sure she just in the moment she doesn't. It's the same thing like when you're like frustrated and
you sort of
trying to do your own thing and also trying to get
them
ready. Yeah, you're grabbing at whatever sort of available that pops into your head. But that's the only time I've ever been like, she's, you know, quite rightly, she said at times when she said to me, she's like, you know, she has, you know, like, you really shouted at him too much just then. Yeah. So, and again, but that's few and far between. Like, there, you know, that we call each other out and stuff, but we do it as well sometimes.
But the important thing is
it's impossible to be perfect, isn't it?
But the important thing is that, you know, you just said it. You guys do talk about it, and you know, me and Lizzie do. There'll be times where I'm like, you know I've overstepped the mark, and I've got, like, you know, if I've got upset about things, and I think, oh, you know, I feel bad, but like I say, Lizzie will tell me if I've done that, or she'll also reassure me if she thinks I've done something with a good reason, you know, like. But it's important to talk about it, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you just got to like be open about it, haven't you? And just communicate between yourselves, because it's an absolute minefield out there, man.
Not easy.
Just to go back to the chat here for a second, we've got Keely in the chat, and she says that she's got 2 boys, and I think they're a little bit older, but she says, I've always been really open about death with my boys. You know, and sometimes I guess at some point they're going to find out about it, and like you say, there's no right or wrong way to do it. So perhaps sometimes being open about it, you know, if that works for you, then that's the way to do it, isn't it?
I just don't want to break his heart.
No, exactly.
It's not something that's come
fear,
up with us yet. It's not something we've had to address. I mean, I think, you know, my granddad, his great granddad did pass away, but it's not since he's been alive. But it's not something that he's really needed to know.
Yeah.
Like, because it's not, you know, by the time that, you know, Ellis was sort of getting to an age of understanding, like, my granddad was in a home, and we lived quite far away. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see him much, so it's not like he had such a big part in Ellis's life that he was like he I don't mean to sound horrible, but he noticed that person's no longer there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's kind of not something we've had to address just yet.
I think for me as well, it's probably I'm a bit guilty of it. Is because I had a fair few bereavements when I was a lot younger. Growing up, I inadvertently probably tried to overprotect him from that myself. It's like a mirroring or whatever it's called. There's probably some sort of psychological thing. I don't study psychology enough, but I think that's probably what it is. One thing that I was going to bring up as a topic at some point on one of these, maybe it's something to bring forward for next week, was
next week.
Next month.
You're keen, aren't you? You want to get another one done next week?
I'm all flustered now.
We don't want to overwhelm our listener base. Come on.
Even wanting more. Was the influence that your dads have had on you as a dad?
Okay,
and like whether you see any how your male role models have impacted way you dad.
Can we save the one for the next one? Because I actually really love that as a topic, and I mean, we've been going a little while now, but I think that one deserves a lot of thought and can be most of a pod. I think that's a really good topic, and I'd love to really dive into that.
One idea that I did have as well at some point, it was it's
absolutely not
totally up to you guys. But I don't know. I was thinking about
the ideas man here, Louis.
Exactly. I just do all the tech side of it. You guys do the ideas. But no, I was thinking I would like to potentially invite my dad on as a guest, and ask him some questions on what it was like raising me.
Don't give him any hints of what it was like. Like what you're going to ask him.
No, I want it. It'll be like what you've done to us tonight. I want it to be completely organic. I don't want him to have any. The thing is, though, my dad's memory is terrible.
Don't even tell him you're inviting him on. Just be like, I'm just giving you a quick video call.
Yeah, Dad, just install Discord on your phone. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
It's just a new video call app.
But then that is definitely how our male role models in our lives have influenced us. Definitely
that's a really good one. I in fact I'm going to add that now to the list for the next one.
I love that. I do love that. Because, like you say, some people out there, don't have dads. Some people have other dads that have stepped in. Like, for example, my dad, my brother and sister have a different dad to me, but my dad has always treated them as if they were his own. Yeah. So there's that element to it as well. Like, there's so many different scenarios, isn't there? And it's important to talk about all that kind of side of it.
4 minutes, lads.
4 minutes. Oh my goodness. And then can we announce after it's whatever happens?
Well,
can we announce what it is?
If I win it, it's creeping up. So they might go above what I'm prepared to spend.
Right, I've got a couple more things that have popped up in the chat. Steamboat has said, I think there's one thing to remember deep down: we're all absolute geezers and top dads. So keep doing what you're doing, lads.
Love it.
You know,
I love
I
that.
do appreciate the words, and you know, to kind of go on from that, a few people have said to me the fact that we're even like doing this and talking about this stuff shows that we're open to learning and becoming better dads, which I really appreciate. I know I learned so much talking to you guys. Like, there's so much.
I was talking to Kirsty about this, and it's like, because it's something that sort of I probably can't articulate this terribly well, but it's not vindictive or contradictive. I don't like the idea of coming on to something like this, talking for an hour and pretending to be perfect.
Yeah,
and because, or like saying that I know what's right, or that there's it's just not real. It's not reality. But it has made me think an awful lot more about what I'm doing as a dad and my role and my space in it. And talk to you guys, and it's been invaluable actually over the last few months. Believe it or not, more than what you'd probably realise.
No, 100%, mate. I completely echo what you're saying, and like, you know, going back to like the start of this episode where David especially was like so open about you know, how he feels his impact around, you know, Ellis and his behaviour and that sort of thing. Like, it, you know, that will stick with me now, because I will then think, you know, how I'm handling certain situations and stuff, and like that wouldn't happen.
It's great to have this as a safe space.
Yeah, and that wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
Like, if we didn't have this chat tonight, you know, the next time I get frustrated with Margot and stuff, I might not have thought twice. But because we've had this chat, I know that it will be in my mind, like, you know, to think about, you know, how I can control certain, you know, actions and that sort of thing. So it's, yeah, I mean this is a huge part of
my response to this might not even be right, the way I'm handling it. You know, like, there's a potential
There's
now.
no right answer.
True, but there's potential now that, you know, because of the way I've reflected on myself, I might go too much the other way and be a bit too soft, which I don't want to do either. You know, it's.
I think at some point, though, mate. I think it'll all balance itself out in the end.
Yeah.
I think at some point you'll find that middle ground that works for you and works for Ellis and for Connie as well. I think you'll all create this kind of. But then again, it'll always change. There's all moving parts, isn't there? But there'll come a point where you think, yeah, this is the kind of boundaries that I want to set. This is how we're going to handle situations, and he'll pick up on that and he'll start communicating in that way. And I think we're all sort of striving towards that.
30.
Oh my goodness. This is a bit of a different question. We've never had anything like this, and if you guys want to talk about it, but Keely in the chat has said, I have a question that pops up with parents a lot, especially with the kids that are in a children's primary school. So it might be that they're slightly older than our kids. But she said, how do you dads feel about your children knowing the proper terminology for private parts? Like, do you want your kids to know the proper terminology, or do you like?
We have got softer names
terms.
for it. So how old were the kids she's talking about? Did she say?
I can't remember.
Primary school. Did she say
they're primary school age? So yeah, they're a little bit older than our kids.
I mean, the thing is, I think it depends. Like, I mean, when you get to because primary school is like quite a wide spectrum of ages, isn't it? Like, by the time you're leaving primary school, I don't think there's anything wrong.
She said they're 5.
Yeah.
5. Well, no, I don't necessarily think so.
What you'd still use the softer terms that you're using now?
Softer,
yeah. I think we do. Like, I mean, because we're, you know, we talk to Margot about certain things because she's already encountered certain things at like nursery, like where she's walked in on a toilet when a boy is having a wee, so she knows that a boy has a different organ, should we say, than what she does, and things like that. And we've used it like softer terms. You know, we'll say like, you know, the boy has a winky or things like that, sort of thing. You
know. So we use PP and Nunu.
Yeah, Nunu. Yeah, or we say Nunu. Yeah. So like when Margot's going to the toilet and, you know, she's learning to wipe herself and things like that. You know, we use those terms as well. Yeah, PP. I like that. Yeah. I'm going to refer that to.
We're Winky, Willy, and Nadgers.
Nadgers, yeah. Is he won it?
I won it.
You've won
It's
it.
a done deal.
Yes, mate.
Ghost of Tsushima on PS5.
Yeah.
But no, in terms of letting George and Betty learn the proper words, I have nothing against that whatsoever. That's fine. Like, it's what it is, isn't it? Yeah. But in terms of how we refer to them in the house, I think the softer terms are probably more appropriate. I'd say, put your penis away. Am I? This sounds a bit weird.
I just think at the age that they're at now, I think the softer terms are just like easier to comprehend, like as words in general. You know, like
absolutely.
saying things like PP is just easier for a child of that age to say. But like as she gets older,
it fits in with their vocabulary generally, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think.
That being said, I do like trying to teach George different words for the same thing.
Go on,
right? Like so, like he was lining up all of his Batman cars. He's got loads of Batmobiles, and they're all in different colours. And he was saying, "Oh, I like the black one. I like the red one." Yeah. I said, "Well, George, that's livery." And explaining to him the different liveries that you put on the different cars and that, the race cars and stuff. So yeah, I love trying to find different words for the same thing.
He's going to be so advanced, but that's a really good question.
It's not.
That is a good question.
I think
it's great.
Definitely, as our kids get older, they're going to know the right terminologies. But I just think the age that our children are, it lends itself to that softer terminology because, like you say, it just lines up with their kind of vocabulary a little bit better. It's easier easier words for them to say.
Rightfully or wrongly, I've never thought about it.
Yeah.
I've never put my mind
not yet anyway.
on that
not any
as being an issue or even something to consider.
And maybe it is something that happens when your children start to get a little bit, obviously a little bit older and stuff. And
I think at big school, at primary school, he's going to be around slightly older children that will probably be using those terms. It is important for him to know what it means, at least so he can understand.
Yeah, exactly. I really like this when people send in like different questions that we've never really thought about before.
Yeah.
I really do want to encourage that. I want people, like, if you feel comfortable to send, messages and all that sort of stuff on our social media.
We should set up a Discord server.
We should, obviously we've tested the waters with this, doing it on my Discord server. I should set up our own one that has a channel where, dads and mums and whatever, anything in between, they can come and chat about this sort of stuff.
Be a good idea.
All right, how are we getting on time-wise? We got time for one more. Should we talk a little? Is the nursery con? Is that too long? That's an episode?
Yeah, that's definitely too long. That is too long. Yeah. Well, it's kind of my fault by sort of throwing those two things in at the start that weren't in the official list. I should have saved it for any other business. Just quickly? You put a thing here, the imitation game. What is that? Tell me about that. So that one, this is one I just wonder if you guys find yourselves doing it with your kids. Like, if me and Connie at home, like, by ourselves, like, he's gone to bed, or he's at nursery, we find that, like, we're just imitating him all the time. Like, the way he says certain things, like, if we have to say it, like quite often, like, he'll be watching TV and he'll have had, like, Peppa Pig on for, like, half an hour, and he'll look at her daddy, he'll go, "Daddy, different." Like, he just wants something else, right? Yeah. So whenever I need to say that to Connie, I'll just look at her and I'll just go, "Different." Like, I don't, like, you know what I mean? I just don't say it. If this is anything that's a bit weird, I'll just always tend to copy him. Yeah. And she does the same. Yeah, we've definitely do that. We definitely do that. Like, there's so if Margot wants a cuddle, she's always referred to it as a cugger. I want a cugger. Yeah. So, like, I'll say that to Lizzie. Come on, give us a cugger. Give us a cugger. Yeah. And when Ellis goes to give you a kiss, he goes, So, like, I always felt myself like, why it's kind of I do that to her. There is a funny little phrase that Margot uses at the moment. Like, if you've done something, you're like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to do that." She'll say, "Don't worry, Daddy, mistakes will happen."
Yeah,
that's
like,
cute.
yeah, it's like, oh, if I've dropped something, oh, sorry, darling, I didn't mean to drop that. Don't worry, Daddy, mistakes will happen. She said. So, like, if Margot, if Lizzie does something, I say, don't worry, mistakes will happen. Yeah,
that
like
is cute.
the little phrases that she comes out with.
We've been using the word literally a lot. George is obsessed with it. So literally, I just need this, or literally, we're doing this now.
I think the word literally is like an exclamation mark, but in word form, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just following on from the question that Keely put in, she's added something like a bit of context to it. She says that they essentially start having sexual education in reception, but they call it something different. But they're teaching them body parts, and the parents are sent an email to ask if they're okay with it.
Okay. Is she okay with it?
She didn't specify, but
all right.
I think I would be.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
it's just a word, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's words and facts, isn't it? It's just facts of life. I think as long as I'm not trying to teach them how to put a condom on a penis, then I don't mind. Basic biology is fine. Understanding the body
that
parts.
is all it is, isn't it? Really, like it's just biological name.
Put a name on fingers, names on toes. Why not? Yeah, no.
I mean, I guess maybe it's an important thing for them to learn, and I don't know. Can you say this in 2025? I don't know. I'm going to say it anyway. I think it's important for them to learn at an early stage the differences between male and female.
Yeah, of course, yeah. But just
because like Ellis has sometimes said to me, "Oh, like mummy's pee-pee," and I'm like, "Well, no, mummy hasn't got a pee-pee."
Yeah,
and like I try and explain the difference, but but it's taken a while to think in.
I think Ollie's made a good point. Like, we have no issue saying we've got fingers and toes and eyeballs and noses, but like, if George was to come up to you and say, "Oh, my belly's hurting," you wouldn't think twice. But why should you think twice if he said, "Daddy, my penis is hurting"? It shouldn't be an issue for him to say that. Like, it's just a normal thing, isn't it? But
it would be a bit weird.
It would be weird to hear a 4-year-old say that. But fair play to the lad if he's branching out on his vocabulary.
Yeah.
To be fair, he did have a time where he hurt his willy a bit, but he used the term willy, which is But it's just another word, isn't it?
As long as they can communicate it, I think that's the most important thing. If they're struggling in it. But Keely said, "I am fine with it. I think it's really important they know the terms, especially in a situation where, God forbid, something happens to them. They should be able to describe accurately what's happened, if you know what I mean." So I do know what you mean by that, and I think like we would always be open to Margot about talking about that sort of thing, if anything, like that sort of thing.
Well, it's interesting because we've just had the briefing for George going to reception, where they do like a parents talk and tell them, sort of prepare people for taking their kids to reception. And one of the things they cover off in there, because they'll be getting changed for going into PE, changing outfits, going to the toilet, this, that, and the other. Make sure your child knows that they never have to take their pants off in school.
Yeah.
They'll never have to do it. Because obviously you think kids getting changed, they're inadvertently going to just pull everything down, right? Because it's the easiest thing to do.
And kids just seem to love being naked, don't
they? Too right. I mean, I'm all for being naturalist, so it's fine. But in a public environment, in the school, obviously they need to know not to, and perhaps drilling that in from a younger age is probably not a bad thing, is it?
So I'm just laughing at something that Steamboat's put in the chat.
Go on.
He said, "If we're playing and the kids jump on me and jump on my bits, I once randomly shouted that was on my gonads."
Yeah, gonads.
Now that word's used at home, especially when the 3-year-old sees me in the toilet and thinks that I'm weeing from my gonads.
That's a similar sort of thing as to why we use nudges.
Yeah. Oh, this has been a fantastic episode. I'm not going to lie. This has been brilliant. This has been one of my favourite episodes yet, for sure.
I'm loving the interaction. The interaction's great.
I think it really adds to it, and I love the fact that we're able to do it like this. I think it's a really, really cool thing.
Yeah.
What's this?
I
Go
think
on.
probably is. Have you got another question? If
No,
there's
it
another
was just. I
question.
think Keely was just following on. She says our school asks us to send the kids in a PE kit on the days of sport, so they don't have to change in school. What? So do they wear the PE kit for the whole day? Or I don't understand that.
Yeah, so that's it. So on the days where they have PE,
Or they just wear that
they
for the whole day. do
go
they?
in. So that is something that the school may be trialing. I don't
Okay.
think they do it properly at the moment, and
Mm.
they did warn us about that.
What if you got
Um,
PE first thing in the morning? Then you got
And
to
you-
sit
and
in
you're
your
sweaty
sweaty
and
PE kit for the rest
Yeah,
of the
that's
day.
what
but
I'm
you
thinking.
think kids at that age, they don't sweat the same, do they?
I don't know.
How often have you seen? It just doesn't.
Mm.
It's not quite the same.
No,
I don't think
Steamboat.
they do. They're not like. Yeah, go on.
I was just going to say, Steamboat's just put. This has helped me stay awake on my drive home. Thanks to everyone on the pod. He said.
No,
Absolute,
mate,
it's
I'm
absolute
just
pleasure.
glad
Thanks for
you-
listening.
No, yeah, it's just lucky that we didn't actually make him fall asleep. Really.
Yeah, I know, right? It's all right. I kicked him in the gonads. It's fine.
I want to know how he's been so vocal on the chat whilst he's been driving.
Yeah, I hope you're using that voice recognition. We don't condone driving, and surely you're a passenger, right?
Yes.
Anyway, it's been
Right.
an absolute pleasure. Do you know what I noticed, actually, lads? I don't know if this is a coincidence, but the first 2 episodes were like exactly the same length.
Oh, really?
I can't
Really?
remember. I can't remember exactly what that length was, but I'm pretty sure this is getting to like the same sort of length as our first 2 episodes. Let me just have a look. This is probably going to be a really boring thing, but we're going to wrap things up.
You checking this is now going to drag it out so it goes over.
That's what I'm
just
hoping.
gonna point that
I
out.
need,
Yeah.
I need to hit you both with my underpod question.
Okay, go on in.
I've got a more meaningful one.
Wait, give me 2 seconds. So the first episode was 139 minutes. The second episode was 138 minutes. And this
No way.
episode is currently 136 minutes. You got 2 minutes. Let's go.
Wow. So are you ready for the end of pod question then?
Yeah, let's do it.
This one's quite on point really, considering what we kind of started the episode with.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you two being in a band.
Yep.
Sans bass player.
Yep.
If you were to bring in a bass player into the main event, would it be? And you can only pick between one of these two:
Mhm.
Les Claypool or Les Dennis.
Wait,
I told you to answer now.
Wait, just is Les Claypool the guy from Primus? Is it?
Yeah.
Is that him? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right.
Oh,
fair enough, yeah.
yeah.
And Les
So
Dennis
that's your
is an actor, right? Does he play bass?
I know he did Family Fortunes, didn't he?
Yeah, he
But,
did.
Might do.
Yeah, I don't know if he plays bass, but listen, I want you to come back with your answer,
Let's
and
do
I
it.
want your reasons why.
Les Dennis or Les Claypool. Put the answers in the comment section below if you're watching this on YouTube. But ladies and gents,
Yeah.
thank you so much for joining us this evening. This is episode 3 of the So I Guess We Are Dads Now podcast. We're not sponsored by anyone, but if you want to chip in and throw a dog a bone, then you know where to come to. Lads, what do you want to say? Anything?
It's been a pleasure, and don't forget to get your tickets for the outdoor cinema at Higgsy's.
Yes, link in the bio.
I'll be there as a guest.
Yes.
Yes.
Me and
As a
Ollie will be on
patron.
stage. David will be there with his family eating
Are
burgers.
Are your kids both coming?
Yep, families are there. We're all going to be
Right.
there. It's going to be a
Perfect.
fantastic
Hey,
afternoon.
we could set up a meet and greet.
Should we do
Definitely.
it? Yeah, we can like sign like burger buns or something. Right. So this is now 138 minutes. We've got to end it here to continue the streak.
Fantastic.
Right. Thank you to
Peace
everyone
and
in the
love,
chat for
everyone.
joining us, and we'll see you next month at some point for episode 4. Good night, sweet
Bye.
dreams. Love you all.
Ciao.
Peace.
Peace.